Good morning. Okay, if we could all settle in, we're going to have our final contest of the conference. This is an exciting one. They're all exciting, but this is even more exciting because I'm sure a lot of you are going, oh God, after last night, oh God. Okay. I saw a few long faces coming in and a few of them coming in a little bit of a list. So it was a good thing it was a bit of a greasy breakfast. That'll get things going. Now just have a little bit of fun because we're at the Humorous Contest. You know, the people, the Toastmasters that are from Moose Jaw and Moose Javians, they thought it was very amusing that Mac the Moose was in line to, worldwide to have us, for us to have the biggest moose. So it was quite amusing. Oh. Now, we can't have this conference with people from Saskatchewan and people from Alberta if we don't poke just a little bit of fun. You know, Saskatchewan is so flat. Oh, great. Thank you for that. It is so flat that if you look far, far off in the distance, you'll be able to see the back of your head. Now, I've also been told from people, the Calgarians here, all right, that it's actually pronounced Calgary. The second day is redundant. It's kind of like Banff. Banff. What's up with that? There's two F's in Banff. We have a lot of strange names in our province too, as well as you do. So I could go on and on, but yeah, I won't. If you're brave enough to whisper it, you're brave enough to say it out loud. By the way, there's still a jacket in the main room left from the party last night, and they said there's stuff on your table that that there's left over, and I was afraid to go over because I found a jacket, but I didn't want to find a pair of pants, and thank God I didn't. So without any further ado, for the final time this weekend, it is actually my pleasure. And before one last thing, sorry. I won't get a chance to do this because my duties are coming down to winding down. It has been my pleasure to be your Sergeant at Arms. So with that, without any further ado, for the final time this weekend, it's actually my pleasure to introduce Connie Poss. I did that on purpose. It was great because when people gave me their bios, there was two people that said rhymes with or sounds like, and it was great. Thank you very much for Connie Poss to actually do that for me. Rhymes with house, so that was great. So Connie is a three-time distinguished Toastmaster, once on the old program and twice on the legacy program. Please welcome our distinguished Toastmaster, Connie Poss.
Well, everyone, are you all ready to laugh? Yes. Now, silly me, I realized this was a humorous contest, but I didn't prepare any jokes. So I'm not even going to go down that path, and I'm going to introduce in just a few moments the person who will start us out on that laugh journey. I do have those housekeeping duties to announce to you. Cell phones, anything that beeps, make sure that those are off or set to vibrate. Remember that you cannot take pictures during the contest while the contestants are up here speaking. Remember that no one is allowed in and out of the room while a contestant is speaking. Is there anything else I should be telling you guys? I think you've heard it all before, and those are the bare bones of what I have to make sure that you cover off and that you look after. Oh, yes, keep this front area clear because this is also being recorded. We've had everything recorded this weekend, which is wonderful. So now it's my pleasure to introduce the Toastmaster for this contest, the lady who will get us through and introduce our speakers. Lynette Theriault joined Toastmasters in September 2014, and since joining, she's been busy. She's served on the club executive of 2 clubs in the positions of VP Ed, president for both clubs simultaneously, and secretary. In 2016-17, she was Area F34 director. Currently, she is the Division E director. When she's not Toastmastering, she has a real job, go figure, as a safety trainer. And in her minimal spare time, she is a Labradoodle enthusiast. Lynette is also a self-confessed contest junkie, and on February 27th of this year, as we saw recognized earlier, she received her Distinguished Toastmaster Award. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming Distinguished Toastmaster Lynette Theriault.
Thank you so much, Connie. Was it a late night for anybody else out there? Oh, does anybody have any spare electrolytes? Oh, Saya. Oh, thank you.
I'm not Division E director until July 1st.
Always the bridemaid, soon to be the bride. Good morning, fellow Toastmasters. I have been waiting for this for a really long time. I am so incredibly excited to be here in front of you today for the final of 4 fantastic contests in one weekend. What could be better for a contest junkie than to get a fix like that? By now, being that this is the 4th contest, you have heard all about why we do contests and all that kind of formality. I'm not going there. We know that. What I am going to tell you, though, is that we are going to focus for the next couple of seconds on really what our purpose here is today, and that is to laugh ourselves silly. I looked up the definition of laughter. Thought this was interesting. It is the most contagious of all emotional experiences. You could take that in a couple different ways. As you just saw, it's hard not to laugh and join in when those around you are laughing. Laughter has evolved over centuries to facilitate bonding across large groups of people. So we are then going to start off our contest today with some group bonding. Bonding. There are 3 main types of laughter that we're going to practice so that we can be the best possible laughers for our fantastic contestants today. The first type of laughter we're going to practice is the chortle. Exactly. By definition, the chortle is a soft, partially suppressed laugh. Next is the cackle. This is a loud laugh, also known as Mona Cooley. Exactly. And lastly, there is the belly laugh, which is a burst of deep, loud, hearty laughter. Give it to me, belly laugh! Now, there is only one real problem with all that laughter. These contestants have a time limit they have to stick within. Be slightly mindful of that when the laugh carries on for too long. Tone it down. Now, despite all this fun and frivolity, we do have some rules, as any contest does. I would like to call upon our district chief judge to give us some of the rules and how we can follow those for the contest. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Lynn Herzog.
Well, I'm actually assuming that Lynette is going to go over a few more rules afterwards, and I'm just going to tell you that all the contestants have been briefed and the judges have been briefed and found eligible to compete and judge. And let the contest begin.
See how easy that is? I believe we probably would like to know the speaking order, would we? Especially for those of you in the audience who are our judges. The speaker who will be speaking first is Alexandre Dobis. Alexandre Dobis. Speaking second is Daisy Way. Daisy Way. Third speaker, Laura Chambers. Laura Chambers. Fourth speaker, Lucas Steves. Lucas Steves. Fifth speaker, Whitney Coop. Whitney Coop. Sixth speaker, Amy Wu. Amy Wu. Just a couple of those other rules that we need to think about as we start this contest, and I try desperately to be serious. We need to ensure that our contestants are not the only bright lights here today. We have some timers down over here, and if you would please, Madam Timer, show me the timing lights just so we can make sure they can be clearly visible. And we do have backup cards just in case. The speakers have also been notified that there is a backup microphone. Should there be a failure of the system, they will grab that and carry on. I will be introducing all of the speakers the same way with their let's try that again. Their name, speech title, and their name. Please only applaud uproariously after I have said their name for the second time. As with all contests, we will have a minute of silence in between each of the speakers. I will be up here with a pea shooter, and Trevor, the bodyguard, will be there strong-arming anybody who does not stay silent during that moment of silence. Are we ready to go? Everyone is ready? Our first speaker today, Alexandre Dobis, One Winter Night. One Winter Night, Alexandre Dobis.
Have you ever had a plan that went not quite as expected? Picture this. I come on one winter night. It's dark. It's super cold, -45. There's nobody home. My wife is coaching basketball that night. However, I have a plan. I'm going to go out with a friend, catch a movie, grab a beer or two, catch up, have fun. Woohoo! I'm looking forward to it. My spirits are up. I reach for my key to the back door. No key. I look in every pocket of every item of clothing, no key. I'm locked out. I don't have a phone. It's minus 45. What do I do? I have to think fast. Look around. My neighbors are not home yet. What do I do? There's a light. Okay, I'll go there, call my wife, warm up, and wait for my friend. I go there. Knock, knock. Hello. Hey, I'm Alex. I live down the street. Sorry, I'm locked out. Can I call my wife and wait for my friend? Big smile, hearty welcome. I step in. And all of a sudden, a wave of noise hits me like a slap in the face. Over the blaring TV, I can make out the enthusiastic yelling of a 5-year-old boy. While back in the kitchen, the wife seems to be practicing her drum solo with her pots and pans. The husband, seemingly oblivious to the din, or more likely permanently eardrum damaged, picks up a screaming baby and thinks it's the ideal time to make a casual conversation. I do my best at lip reading while fanning off flying toys. It's horrible. Now, the weatherman said that exposed skin would freeze in under a minute. And yet, I'm wondering if I shouldn't go back outside and freeze to death. The original plan was to meet my friend at 6. I'm thinking, by 5 to 6, I'll go home and meet him and still have my night out. Comes 5 to 6, I take my leave, thank my hosts, step back outside into the cold with a strong sense of relief, go home, when I notice there are footsteps leading up to my front door and retreating. I miss my friend. At the time, we're both cell phone challenged. There is no way whatsoever for me to get in touch with him, which means I miss my night out. While I'm considering this, it is so cold, my face starts to freeze off. I have no option left but to go back to that noise hole. So I'm going back. Oh, man. Knock, knock. Hey, it's me again. Still locked out. Do you mind? Big smile, hearty welcome. I step in. It's pleasantly calm, which I should have recognized for what it really was. The eye of the hurricane. All of a sudden, and out of nowhere, the 5-year-old boy toddled over, locked eyes with me in a way that led me to think we were kindred spirits. My opinion changed slightly when he grabbed his backside and started yelling, "Bottom, bottom, bottom, bottom." Whoa, okay. What is that? What is he getting at? Does he want me to join him? I didn't know what to do. I looked up to the dad for help. The dad, believe it or not, was still holding a screaming baby. Still, I look up to him for help, and he smiles back, encouragingly. For the life of me, I have no idea what he's encouraging me to do. Again, join in. failing to respond to the kid, he eloquently continued and worked himself up. Ba-dum, 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 ba-dum. To the point where I'm starting to think I may not be entirely welcome in this house. When the phone rang, it was my wife. I love my wife. She was calling back. She was not at home. It was my way out. Again, I took my leave. I thanked my host profusely, stepped back outside into the cold with a sense of glee. Woohoo! So happy to be back home and to see my wife. However, very disappointed to have had a ruined evening. I needed to relax. I thought, I'll hit the shower. I go upstairs, start to undress, and as I do, one last noise comes to punctuate a perfectly ruined evening. The sound of my key falling out of my pocket.
Let's have 1 minute of silence, please. Our next contestant, Daisy Way. How to train your husband. How to train your husband, Daisy Way.
Many years ago, we had a family trip to China. One person asked me, "Hey, your husband looks like a foreigner." Yeah, he insisted on plastic surgery. The person said, "That is a really good surgery." Actually, my husband is a Caucasian. I am a Chinese. We have a cross-culture marriage. A good marriage is hard work. A cross-culture marriage is even harder. My husband and I are dealing with different attitudes, values, cultures every day and night. Our culture conflict starts from the wedding. In China, the wedding is planned and paid by the groom. In Canada, who takes care of the wedding? The bride's family. So neither of us want to work or pay for the wedding. Fortunately, my mother-in-law paid and did everything for us. We just show up to the wedding with the wedding rings. However, I got the reputation from my husband's family. Daisy is cheap. After 2 years of marriage, I suddenly realized I haven't changed engine oil in my car for 2 years. I told my husband. He was upset. He looked at me and said, "You're an engineer. You know how to maintain your car." But I'm married now. Don't change the subject. You know the engine oil is supposed to replace it regularly. But I'm married now. How do you maintain your car before? I am married now. Finally, my husband understands. In China, if a lady changes engine oil by herself, that means she is available. Since then, I have never worried about my car maintenance. Because of the different spending, different culture background, we have different spending habits, which I'm aware of it. I am tolerant with his spending habit most of the time. However, we end up with a lot of unnecessary stuff. Finally, I complained. He said, "You mentioned it was nice the other day." He thought I was giving him a hint to buy. I didn't explain to him, nice doesn't mean buy it. I just take extra conscious, not seeing anything nice easily. But if I really like anything, I can take advantage of it by saying it is nice. What's the first question you want to ask me when you know I have cross-cultural marriage? The question I'm asked most often is, what kind of food do you eat at home? Steak, dumpling, ginger beef, rice. Our family had the advantage to eat both Chinese food and Western food. Trust me, adjusting to unfamiliar cuisine is not easy. One day, my husband asked me, how come I have never complained about his cooking? Guess what I said? The food you cook for me is not only food, it is love. Because of the love, I enjoy whatever you cook for me. Until today, he is still cooking for our family. What a great husband I have. He's doing my car maintenance, cooking, and buying stuff for me. Do you think I should start a training session called How to Train Your Husband? Shh, please don't tell my husband. Do I tell you my husband is big compared to regular Chinese? In China, people talk about the body weight, body shape, just like we talk about the weather here. When people speak to my husband directly in Chinese, hey, you're too fat. You need to lose some weight. Do more workout. Ha, smart me. I can make it lost in translation easily. I interpret it to my husband. You're a strong man. You're powerful. However, Chinese learn English and they want to practice. One day in a restaurant, I can tell the waiter is excited to practice his English with a real foreigner. He brought food to us. Look at my husband. Sorry for your wait. I quickly respond, don't worry, eventually he will lose it. My husband said, it's okay, I'm not in a hurry.
Our next speaker, Laura Chambers. One mistake after another. One mistake after another, Laura Chambers.
years ago, a group of my single girlfriends and I decided to go on a Caribbean cruise. There'd been a lot of discussion before we actually booked our travel plans, but it came down to the thought that if single women go on cruises, it would make sense that single men do too. And once that ship pulled away from the dock, where are they going to go? In the last few days leading up to our departure, I was really busy checking off my to-do list and getting ready. And right at the bottom of the list, it said bathing suits. Of course. I needed a couple of new bathing suits because I was planning on going home with a tan. So I went shopping on my lunch hour that day, and I did manage to find a couple of really pretty new suits that I could pour all this into. But as I was looking at myself in the dressing room mirror, I couldn't help but notice there was one more thing I had to take care of. I needed a bikini wax. Not a problem. I've had a few. They're not pleasant, but they're not going to kill you. So I got back to the office that day, and I picked up the phone, and I booked myself an appointment for the very next day on my lunch hour. Mistake number 1. But we'll come back to that. I got to the salon the next day, with a little bit of trepidation. Yeah, it's not pleasant. But they had assigned this really lovely young lady to do the job. However, when she heard I was about to leave on a cruise, she said, "Oh, my dear, you don't want the bikini wax. You want a Brazilian wax." And I said, "Why?" She said, because that is what all the gentlemen love. Well, didn't that play into my plans? I said, "Okay, sign me up." Mistake number 2. What I should have said was, "Okay, and what exactly is a Brazilian wax?" I was a little fuzzy on the concept. So, as you do, I disrobed from the waist down and I stretched myself out on that table. And just as I was trying to think of anything but what was coming, I couldn't help but notice that that wax was being spread somewhere I hadn't anticipated. But before I could say, "Hey," all of a sudden, rip and woo! My God! I felt like my nether regions were being devoured by fire ants and piranhas. But it faded. It faded. And when I could get to where I could think again, I suddenly realized I had a big decision. What to do about the other half. But I took a quick peek. Had to admit that things were just a little lopsided. And at that point, I had no alternative but to let her finish the job. But at that moment, the other side of my brain started talking, and it said to me, "But Laura, this time you know what's happening. This time you can brace yourself. This time it won't be quite so bad." Mistake number 3. I grabbed onto the edge of that table. I prayed for mercy. I felt that warm wax go on, and all of a sudden, it was even worse the second time. But of course it was. When you think about it, I wasn't the only one that had advance notice. The fire ants and piranhas got to invite all their friends and family to the picnic. After a few minor touch-ups, she was done with me, and I was able to put my clothes on and go back to the office. Now that brings us right back to mistake number one. I realized at that moment that my recently denuded skin was still on fire, and just the mere thought of touching it with fabric made me cry. But I didn't have a choice. I had to go back to work, and I couldn't very well go commando. So I eventually got my clothes on, and when I got back to the office and opened the door, thank God there was nobody in sight. And all I can remember is coming through the foyer going, please don't let anybody see me. I don't want to have to explain this one. Now, I would love to be able to tell you that having that Brazilian wax just added a ton of fun to my holiday. But it would be a lie. The only single men on board that whole ship were part of a gay wedding party. But I can tell you one thing for absolute certainty, and that is that you would have to hog-tie me and rope me to that table to make me make any one of those mistakes again. If I ever decide to go on another cruise and think I need a new hairstyle, I'll stick to the more traditional methods.
One moment of silence for the judges, please. Our next contestant, Lucas Steves. Magic words. Magic words, Lucas Steves.
I love words. Not so much reading them or writing them, but hearing them and saying them, and just the fact that they exist. As a kid, I used to spend hours listening to recordings of my favorite storytellers like Stuart McLean and Rod Beatty, or if my parents weren't home, George Carlin and Bill Hicks. And as I would sit there listening to these people describing imaginary characters, having made-up adventures, I could close my eyes and concentrate, and it was as if I was there with them. I would have the most vivid hallucinations, all without any drugs at all. It was magic. See, words have an interesting power. They've given humans the ability to communicate complicated ideas and principles from person to person and generation to generation, and in doing so have given us the power to create the entire world that we live in today. It's amazing. To this day, the fact that I can stand in front of you, vibrating my vocal cords and flapping my lips, and by doing so, take a thought out of my mind, transmit it through thin air and plant it into yours, blows my mind. But it's a uniquely human characteristic. You see, out of all the thousands or millions of different species on this planet, not one of them has mastered language in the way human beings have. I mean, sure, some animals have rudimentary vocalizations. Dogs bark, cats meow, whales sing. But none of them have the subtlety and nuance that human beings do. And some have come close. Giraffes, for example. Did you know that giraffes have a particular sound that they make to warn other giraffes when there are bees in the area and they should leave immediately? It's true. When I first heard that, I got a little bit jealous. I thought these giraffes, they're already tall and majestic, live in Africa. Now they have this fancy sound they make. Humans should have a sound for that. Then it hit me, we do have a sound for that. It sounds like this. There are bees in the area. We should leave immediately. Chimpanzees have a sound that they make to warn other chimps of an approaching lion. And humans have a sound for that too. It sounds like this. Ah, lion! Well, what kind of sound do you make when there's a lion approaching? But in the addition to the ability to pass ideas and concepts from person to person, words have given us the ability to take mental images and plant them in the minds of other people. And by messing with the words, you can mess with the image that is transmitted. It's so cool. I'll show you. We'll do an experiment. Everybody close your eyes for a moment and imagine a dog that is purple and has two heads. Okay, you can open your eyes again. Now, how many people right away when I said imagine a dog thought of a purple two-headed dog? Nobody, of course not. Why would you? Because when I say imagine a dog, your mind goes through every image of every dog you've ever seen and comes up with a picture of what a dog means. And then I come along and describe the dog. But if I said something like imagine a pink two-legged cow, right away you think of a cow that is pink and has two legs. It is so cool what happens when you take the adjective and move it in front of the verb. Noun. But some words and phrases give us mental images that are very accurate to what they're trying to describe, while others give us images that are not so accurate to what they mean. I'll give you an example. If I say apple tree, and you think of a tree covered in apples, that is accurate. If I say grapevine, you think of a vine covered in grapes, that is accurate. But if I say Brazilian, after Laura's talk, you probably don't think of somebody from Brazil, but that's often what it refers to. Now, that principle became a problem for me a few years ago when I was having a conversation with a friend of mine. He was telling me about salmon ladders. And when I heard the phrase salmon ladder, I got a peculiar mental image. I thought of a salmon trying to climb a ladder. I thought, now that's ridiculous. Salmon don't have gutters to clean out or Christmas lights to hang. Why would they need a ladder? They live in the ocean. Then he explained to me it's actually a series of pools around a hydroelectric dam to allow the fish to get upstream to spawn. So I thought, well, surely there's a better way to describe that. Like a series of pools around a hydroelectric dam to allow the fish to get upstream and spawn. Maybe I'm crazy. A couple weeks later, I was cruising along in my pickup listening to the CBC, and a program came on. They were talking about how salmon ladders across the country were being replaced by fish cannons. Now, when I heard the phrase fish cannon, I got a mental image similar to the one you probably just had. I thought of a cannon with a fish coming out the end of it. I thought, now that is ridiculous. So I got on Wikipedia, I did a little bit of research. I found out that's exactly what it is. It's a cannon with fish, boom, 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 flying out the end of it. Apparently, some environmentalists realized salmon were being injured as they climbed these salmon ladders. I'm not surprised. So they thought the best way to prevent those injuries was to shoot them out of a cannon! I don't know about you, but when I think about preventing injuries, cannons are rarely involved. See, the point is that words have an incredible amount of power. When they're used correctly in the right context, by the right people, with the right intentions, they can bring people together, share ideas and principles, and help us create the entire world in which we live today. But when they're used incorrectly, or in the wrong order, or by the wrong people with the wrong intentions, they have the power to tear apart the fabric of everything they helped create. So the next time you open your mouth to speak, or put your pen to a paper to write, I want you to think very carefully about the words you choose. Because if you don't, you might end up shooting a salmon out of a cannon trying to save its life. Thank you.
1 minute of silence, please. Our next contestant, Whitney Coop. I'm so fancy. I'm so fancy. Whitney Coop.
Thank you. If you could be anything in the whole world, what would you be? I would not be a rock star or an astronaut. I would not be a professional wrestler or even want to solve world peace. No. If I could be anything in the whole world, I would be fancy. I'm so fancy. I drive a Cadillac, and I'm not even a wealthy middle-aged woman. I'm so fancy. If I were a stay-at-home wife, I would plan fundraisers that cost more money than they actually raise. I'm so fancy. The only beer I drink is Miller High Life, the champagne of beers. I'm so fancy, I wear a fur coat to the Toastmasters Humorous Speech Contest. But where did my taste for this fancy high life come from? Well, it all started a few years back when I hosted a brunch for all of my friends at my parents' house. I'm so fancy. When I host a brunch for all of my friends, when they ask, "Oh, hey, Whit, you want me to bring anything?" I respond, "Oh, that's so sweet. Thank you so much. But you know what? I have everything covered." The brunch was amazing. We drank Prosecco. I wore my little black dress, my pearls, and my fanciest apron. Honestly, I felt like a 50s trophy wife. It was amazing. When my first guest arrived, they rang the doorbell, and with Prosecco in hand, I ran to greet them, and, well, it wasn't actually my first guest. It was a young man hoping for the opportunity to mow the lawn. Well, this young man looked me up and down with my Prosecco in hand, little black dress and pearls, and I think what he saw was a little unexpected. And I have to tell you, this was probably the single greatest moment of my life. I was certain that I oozed wealth and excess to this young man. Like maybe, just maybe, I would actually have the means to hire him to perform menial labor tasks around my home. But the truth is, I'm really not that fancy. I spent the entire brunch cracking eggs with one hand to entertain my guests, and that little black dress I was wearing, that was actually my nightgown. And you don't even want to know when the last time I washed that thing was. But a taste for a fancier life had been born. Maybe next time I have my friends over, we'll watch golf. I'm so fancy. The only place I've ever been golfing is Paradise Canyon Golf Resort. For those of you who probably aren't aware, Paradise Canyon is pretty exclusive. The first time I went golfing at Paradise Canyon Golf Resort, I was so excited to showcase my lavish golf style that I went out and bought the biggest hat I could possibly find because I was certain this was the best way to demonstrate to my fellow golfers of my elevated status. Well, it was my turn to golf, and I got into position, the athletic position of readiness. And I kept my eye on the ball, but I couldn't actually see the ball, and in fact, everything was flying everywhere. And so I kept my eye on the ball, but I couldn't see the ball, and I thought I'd check to see where I was going, but I couldn't see that either. And so I thought I'd check the ball again, but turns out, big hats and golf, they don't actually go together. Tiaras neither, no. But I'm so fancy, I'm golfing anyways. 4, I could be anything in the whole world, I would be fancy. But I know who I am. I am a simple, regular girl. I fall behind on my laundry, and I'm no trophy wife. The only reason I have ever been golfing at Paradise Canyon Golf Resort is because I have a friend who works there, and she's able to get me such a good discount. It's honestly the only golf I can afford. But the hardest truth of them all is I don't even own a fur coat. I borrowed this one from accredited speaker Freddie Dogtrum. She's the fancy one. If I could be anything in the whole world, I would be fancy, but I know who I am. And I'm happy the way that I am. I have so many friends and family who love me for who I am. Fancy and not so fancy. In fact, I have one friend who knows me so well that last year, for my birthday, she got me this beer cozy. It says, exercise. I thought you said extra fries. I love it so much. Last year, I took it to a baseball game where I was photographed double fisting a hot dog while chugging my beer. If I've painted a picture for you here, folks, this is not a very fancy situation. But there I was, double fisting my hot dog while chugging a beer. And it was later pointed out to me that in that photograph, in true Whitney lavish style, I chugged my beer with my pinky up. Because I am so fancy. Madam Toastmaster?
One minute of silence, please. Our next contestant, Amy Wu. A few shirts short. A few shirts short, Amy Wu.
A show of hands. Who goes to the airport and feels a little nervous? Me too! When I go to the airport, I feel like I've been taken back in time to high school. Because in high school, I had one goal, and one goal only. Get good grades? No, let's get real. It was to fit in with the cool kids. And there are cool kids at the airport, too. You know the kind I mean. They're the frequent travelers. They walk in like they own the place. And no matter where they're going, whether it's Winnipeg for a weekend or Europe for a year, they're always packing the same teeny tiny suitcase that they push and roll effortlessly as they glide towards security. I've never been one of the cool kids at the airport. I always pack way too much. But I thought, hey, how hard could it be? All I have to do is buy one of those teeny tiny suitcases, maybe trim down my wardrobe a bit, and then I would be one of the cool kids. Well, I'll tell you why I don't do that. It's because I did it once, and it led to the worst packing experience of my life. I was in university, and I was going to Venezuela for 4 months, and I had to pack a suitcase. And I thought to myself, this is my chance. This is my opportunity to pack like one of the cool kids. I'm going to pack light. So how much clothing do I need for 4 months? And I thought, you know what? If I just pack enough clothes for 1 week, I can do laundry at the end of the week. And then I can recycle it and just keep cycling through for the whole trip. Good idea, Amy. So how much clothing do I need for a week? Well, I need clothes for school. Yeah. And so how many clothes do you need for school? Well, I go to school 5 days a week. Great. Pack 5 outfits. And so I packed 5 outfits into my suitcase and I zipped it shut. Now you might be thinking, hang on a second, Amy. I hope the next part of your story is, and then I unzipped my suitcase and put more clothes in. But it wasn't. Now the next part of my story was I zipped up my suitcase and I went to the airport. And as I rolled up to the airport, I thought, I got this. I did it. I packed light. I'm one of the cool kids. And I walked into that airport like I owned the place. And I met my roommate for the next 4 months, Chelsea. And Chelsea had 2 suitcases. And in that moment, I started keeping track of the cool points, the number of times where I was cooler than Chelsea because I packed light. And right now the score was Amy 1, Chelsea none. Chelsea had to pay extra to pack that second suitcase on the plane. Amy 2, Chelsea none. When we got to Venezuela, Chelsea was struggling, trying to pack everything into the closet at our apartment. Meanwhile, I had unpacked with room to spare. Amy 3, Chelsea none. The trip was going perfectly. I'd wake up, I'd get dressed, go to school. Tuesday, wake up, get dressed, go to school. But on Wednesday, I got up, I got dressed. I looked down at my suitcase. I thought, that's strange. If I'm supposed to be doing laundry on the weekend, why don't I have enough shirts to make it to Saturday? And that's when it hit me. What may have taken you only 3 seconds to realize took me 3 whole days in Venezuela for me to look down at that suitcase and go, holy shirts! I was a few shirts short. I ran to the nearest clothing store to get some clothes to feed my fledgling wardrobe. And when I got there, I realized something. Venezuelans and I have a very different sense of style. I wear clothes to blend in, while Venezuelans wear clothes to stand out. And while I rifled through clothes and I found a shirt that I thought, I think I can just about pull this off, I would go to the changing room to try it on, and it fit me like a sausage skin. Can anybody tell me how many pairs of jeans one should pack when going to Venezuela for 4 months? Well, I can tell you it's more than one. So back to the clothing store, and I'm rifling around. I find the perfect pair of jeans. It's just like the kind I'm wearing today, plain and black. Go into the change room to try them on, shake out the pants, flip them over, and the back pockets are covered in sequins. Every pair of pants in Venezuela, I kid you not, is bedazzled. So what's a girl to do? The only thing a girl can do in that situation. I bought myself some tight, bright, bedazzled clothes. I went out there and I rocked that outfit for the rest of the trip. At least I got some great souvenirs out of the experience. And so that's why, when I go to the airport, I don't try and pack like the cool kids anymore. And when I see them walk by with their teeny tiny suitcases, and I look at my own rather heavy suitcase, think to myself, don't worry, Amy, it's okay. At least I know I packed enough shirts.
We will now have interminable silence until the judges have left, or the chief judge has left the room. The chief judge has left the building. as the contestants come up here and stand in speaking order, let's have Mona Cooley lead us off in a cackle again. Mona! All right, we get to talk to these lovely people and spend some time getting to know them just a little bit better. They are standing in speaking order. However, I'm not going to interview them in speaking order. We're going to start with Daisy.
Thank you. I hope this is the last result.
Daisy, you talked to us about training your husband. There is a movie similar to that called How to Train Your Dragon. In that movie, they used food as positive reinforcement to train the dragon. Could you please tell us what method of positive reinforcement you used to train your husband?
I did practice my speech with my husband. He said, "I'm not that dragon." However, I made a lot of dumpling for him. When I explained the last joke about his body weight, he said, "Ha, that's what the dumpling for." I guess I have to find other strategy to add to my training husband session.
Now, on your profile, it had said that one of your favorite quotes is that practice makes perfect. So please tell us one thing or two that you practiced to perfection, other than your speech.
I just want to talk about the speech. I have practiced 1,000,000 times about my speech. However, beside the speech, last time I did a speech about table tennis. Some of you may already still remember it. I practiced that one more than 1,000,000 times. Last year, I won second place in Alberta, women double table tennis. Even though I was not trained from little, but I practiced a lot. I did make a progress on my table tennis skill.
Excellent. Thank you, Daisy. Can you hand the microphone to Amy? And I would like to present you with your certificate of participation. Thank you. Amy.
What's up?
I have some questions for you. Amy, woo!
That's my name. Don't wear it out.
Amy Wu, marathon runner. Let's look, however, at a different kind of marathon. Tell us about your favorite Netflix marathon.
Oh, good question. All right. Like, you're laughing at me, but would you all not be stumped by that question? Well, I watch a lot of Netflix, that's why. Okay, I'm actually going to go to a different streaming service. If any of you have CBC Gem, which I don't know anyone else that subscribes to CBC Gem. Oh, I see a couple people. Okay. If we're talking binging shows, I will say the guilty pleasure show that I cannot get enough of is the Great British Baking Show.
And after, for the rest of you who love the Great British Baking Show but haven't been to CBC Gem yet, you can watch all the episodes from season 4 onwards for free. But after watching this Robin Hood flour commercial for like the 100th time at a commercial break, I was like, no, I'm going to pay that extra $6 a month so I don't have to watch it again. So now I would consider it like Netflix because you can watch CBC Gem commercial free.
I've never heard of that.
That's why I'm here, to spread the good word.
It's not a good day if you haven't learned something. Two-part question for you now, Amy. You like knitting.
Yes.
If you were to have knitted yourself a shirt whilst in Venezuela, what would it have looked like?
Oh, excellent questions, Lynette. I'm loving this. Such a stumper. Any shirt, to be honest, would have been great. I didn't have enough room in my speech for this, but I'm just going to sidestep the knitting question because I would have knit a horrible shirt, and I wouldn't have worn it. But as soon as I realized I didn't have enough shirts, not only did I run out to the clothing store, but I also wrote home on Facebook saying, please send me shirts. I didn't bring enough shirts. And my parents took pity on me and sent me a care package. And something I didn't expect, a friend of mine from Australia who I hadn't seen in such a long time actually saw that post on Facebook and then sent me some shirts as well. So I was like, thanks guys, thanks for bailing me out. But the thing about mail coming from Canada or Australia to Venezuela is it took a really long time to get there. So it took about like halfway through the trip before I actually got the shirts. And it in effect doubled my wardrobe once it got there.
Nice. Now I am going to take you back to knitting, though.
All right, sure.
Because you like to knit and you like to run.
Yes.
Do you see any particular hazards with knitting and running at the same time?
Yes, I do.
And since you seem to like my questions so much, I will admit that drunk Lynette came up with most of those.
Got it, girl!
Now, if you could please hand the microphone to Alexander, and then come get your participation certificate. Thank you, Amy. Alexander, you have been locked out. Does that mean that you are then familiar with the concept of escape rooms?
I've lucked out?
You were locked out.
Oh, locked out.
Locked out.
Yes, and I did luck out eventually.
Now, was that before or after the shower?
No comment. No.
Is that no, that you don't know what an escape room is, or no, you're not going to tell us about the shower?
No, I do what an escape room is. I've never been there, although it's been spoken around me.
If you could design your ideal escape room, what would it look like?
A tunnel with just a light at the end.
Thank you, Captain Obvious.
That's all I got.
Okay, let's move on to something else. You talk about you like hiking. Now, I'm from Calgary. Now, when I go hiking, I can climb majestic mountain peaks and go to icy cold glacial lakes. could you please explain what exactly you are hiking to in Saskatchewan?
Where I live in a province where two fun books give you a viewpoint. So we have what we call the mountain in Regina, and I do not climb it. I actually I drive on walk around, and then I plan my hiking trips to either Europe or the Maritimes or the Rockies. Yes. However, we have nice parks in Saskatchewan, and I love hiking in the forest too.
Very nice. That's up north, right?
Yes.
All right, would you please hand the microphone to Whitney? And then here is your certificate of participation. Whitney, 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 Whitney. If that even is your real name.
It is.
My fellow Lethbridgite.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh.
Home girl. I grew up there. Me too. Now, on your form, it says that you have not yet taken on an opportunity of leadership within District 42. Are you at all aware that though
did Freddie put you up to this?
Nope.
No. Okay.
This was drunk Lynette. Are you at all aware of the fact that even though the commute would be quite considerable, Division A is looking for a division director?
Well, as a young person and as a career development professional, I am always working on just like expanding my resume and all of my experiences. And I recently heard from somebody that they said that anytime you're offered an opportunity, you should take it and then learn to do it. So, Lynette, I'll do it.
No.
I'll do it.
Are you willing to sign? What she have to sign?
I'm not willing to sign anything.
You're adorable. Now, Whitney, there is a very famous song by Reba McEntire about a prostitute named Fancy. In order to truly be fancy in name only, would you be willing to change your name to Fancy?
As a career development professional, you should never say no to an opportunity for a new career. So yes, and I'm not willing to sign anything. I don't even know that song.
Everybody, on the count of three, here's your one chance. No, just kidding. Okay. I could sing it, but I won't. Could you please hand the microphone to Laura and come and get your certificate of participation? Laura Chambers.
Lynette Theriault.
What is something else foolish that you have done to impress a man?
We don't have all day. I have a bus to catch.
It will wait.
Oh. Well, thankfully I wasn't allowed to, but when I was much, much younger, I used to fantasize about being able to go in and have surgery to take 3 inches of the bone out here and 3 more here and bring me down to size for everybody. Instead, I waited till, 3, 4 years ago, got new knees, but it didn't make me any shorter.
I think they call that fun size.
Fun size.
Fun size.
Built for comfort.
Laura.
Lynette.
In the movie The Karate Kid, Mr. Miyagi teaches Daniel's son how to wax on and wax off.
There was no grasshopper in the room. I might have had a few after I got home that night. Still holding my clothes out here.
I was seriously trying to keep this question clean. Can you tell us another valuable lesson that you've been taught by a mentor?
Well, the first thing that comes to mind is my mother used to say to me, "Don't even think about lying to me. I can read you like a book." And I've sort of taken that through my life, and she still sits on my shoulder, and anytime I think about lying, I get one of these. I'm not sure she was a mentor. She was more like a jailer.
Thank you, Laura. Could you please hand the microphone to Lucas and come and get your certificate of participation? Lucas.
Yes.
When I was trying to come up with how to do this last night, I thought I'd save you for last because of the valuable lesson we learned from Carolyn yesterday about beards. However, I forgot about you. Now, Lucas, we have learned over the past couple of years that there are those people in leadership around the world who espouse to have the very best words. What are your best words?
Oh, wow. Well, my personal favorite is Trumano hang on, let me try again. Trumano ultramicroscopic volcanic silicon honiosis. That's my favorite one.
Does it have a quick explanation of what it is?
The longest word in the English language.
Wow. Nice. All right, Lucas. Everyone has hobbies. Everyone puts down on their contestant profile form about their hobbies. I would like you to tell the audience how you spend your me time.
Ah, all right. Well, this is an interesting one. It starts with a hot bath. And then about 10 pounds of Epsom salts. And a pumpkin pie flavored candle. Flavored was not the word I was looking for there. And maybe a little bit of George Carlin or Bill Hicks on the stereo, and the rest you'll have to leave to your imagination.
Speaking of George Carlin, because I'm a big fan of that as well, just a quick bonus question. And don't say it, but just answer yes or no. Do you remember the 7 filthy words you can never say on television?
The question is, can I ever forget them?
None of us can. Thanks. And then we'll just... Thank you, contestants. You may leave the stage now. Oh, group picture, group picture. Are we good? Before I hand the mic off, because she who holds the mic holds the power, I'm just going to take this one last opportunity to say that of all my days in Toastmasters, I think this is probably one of my favorite. It was a wonderful morning. It was a great evening last night. And to see such amazing speeches, I honestly don't think I've laughed so hard at a humorous speech contest. Just before we get the results, I've been asked to allow Susan Kramer, where are you, to come up here for a second and tell us about where we are all going to be a year from now. Susan Kramer.
I don't know how to do this funny, so I'm just going to tell you, we're in Lethbridge. It's been booked. It's May 1, 2, 3. We're going to be at the Sandman Signature Lethbridge Lodge. Brand new, renovated, beautiful building. It's going to be fabulous. I've been asked, Christina is a very persuasive individual, and I'm sure many of you know this. But she's been after me for over a year to take on another conference, so I will be conference chair for that conference as well. We're going to be taking real advantage of technology, though, because I do still intend to be traveling and away with my husband, so it's going to be interesting to see how we make this happen, but I'm hoping it won't just be Calgary people that will be working on this, but it will be people from across the district that will help with the planning for this particular conference. So we'll be stretching the technology to its limits, but we're going to have a great time. So if you're interested in taking part in any way in the planning and preparation for that conference, I'm just right there, and I'll be hanging out until I have to load the bus at 12:45. So come on up and say hi, and we'll see what we can do.
Wow, we have a whole year to wait. That's one of the disadvantages of this 1 year at a time conference for us as the district. It is time for our results to be announced, and with that, Catherine and the entourage will come forward. The entourage. It's my last time to say that. Yeah, get with the program there, Christina. It was such an exciting contest. Actually, before all of the entourage is up here, I will say, first of all, a very huge thank you to the contestants in all 4 contests and to all of the people who served as officials in any capacity, whether you were shepherding contestants back and forth from one room to another, whether you were manning the doors to or womaning the doors to make sure that no one came in or out, whether you were a judge or whether you were a ballot counter, a timer. There are so many roles that are necessary in order to put forward 4 contests in one weekend. And all of you did your job, and everyone did your job so well. So on behalf of Lynn Herzog and myself as the chief judge and the contest chair, we thank you from the bottom of our hearts. And now for the results. First of all, once again, no disqualifications. Four out of 4, no disqualifications. Good job, contestants. Our third place winner, please congratulate and welcome to the front, Lucas Steves. The second place winner, please congratulate Alexandra Dobis. Sorry. One more, Alex. Oh, did you get it? Okay. All right. Thanks. Sorry. Okay, we have, that is going to, you got that? There's lots of things to hand out for first place. And that's a heavy trophy, anyways, I'm glad that there's 4 women sitting there, so I'm glad that the woman who's going to, receive it is going to enjoy it, I know. Please congratulate with a drum roll, please. Laura Chambers. All right, everyone. Am I giving to you? All right. We have closing ceremonies to happen, so I'm going to give the mic to Catherine to take it away and finish us off. Okay. Congratulations again, all of you.
All right, congratulations. Fantastic contest weekend. And I do want to just make some shout outs on behalf of the program quality director, Duncan Taylor, to his contest team. Connie Paus, our contest chair, and Lynn Herzog, the chief judge. Thank you. As well as our sound and video team, Nicole McLean, Richard Mowry, and Russ Dantu. So did you guys have a fun conference weekend? Yeah. So we have 2 special ladies and a whole bunch of people to thank for having such a wonderful time this weekend. So I'd like to call up our conference co-chairs, Ann James and Chantel McCloy, up to the front, please. So on behalf of District 42, we'd like to present Ann James and Chantel McCloy these plaques to commemorate your dedicated service and outstanding leadership as the 2019 District 42 Conference Co-Chair, Moose Jaw, Saskatchewan. And I know they have a few people to thank, so we're going to let Anne do that.
Thank you, Catherine. I know that all of you have had a program over the weekend. All of the names of the conference committee are in there, but I would like to add just a couple of names of people who did help us out. I'd like to mention Lorna Arnold, who helped us out at the last minute when our volunteer coordinator couldn't make it. Carolyn Caldy, who's been busy taking photos for us all weekend. And David Way. And Camille Gibney, who helped with the visit from our international director, Larry Merrick. So thank you to all of them. Anyone who was on the committee or any of the people I just mentioned, if you could just stand up and we can have some applause for you. Thank you so much to all of you. It's been a great pleasure. I think both Chantal and I would say that it's been a great pleasure working with all of you. And to Susan, I would say organizing with a committee over a distance can actually be done. The last thing I'd just like to say is we will, over the next week, be sending out a survey just to ask for your feedback on the conference. We really would appreciate it if you fill that in. It'll really help Susan and her team for next year as well to have that information. So please do let us get your feedback on how the conference went. And I would just like to call up Al Doucette, who's been our Sergeant at Arms all weekend, just to make the final.
Thank you very much. Not only was I your Sergeant at Arms, but I was also on the sponsorship team. And I'd just like to make a few shout-outs to some of our sponsors so that you were able to have all the things that you were able to have during this conference. Because without those sponsors, we don't have one of these. So I'd like to shout out to Mosaic here in Moose Jaw, who offered up some services, as well as to CAE, which works closely with the military, which is on 15 Wing, and for all your little pens and your little stick-it notes from Minuteman Press. So we would also like to put a shout out to them as well. So locally, you can support these guys, and if you ever back in Moose Jaw, you can also say a thank you to from the Toastmasters, and I'm sure they'll be more than happy for that. Thank you. And as well, I'm sorry, Russ Dantu, all of our little bags. Can we have a little hand for him as well in the back of the room? Yes, I got it here. And last but not least, whoever went on the Snowbirds tour, was that cool? That was so cool. So we have a gentleman in the room who actually set that up from 431 Squadron, and I'd like to invite Jeremy up. On behalf of the Toastmasters for District 42, thank you very much, Jeremy, and a little card of appreciation. Thanks very much. Get your little tickets out. Do we have them? All right. Here's our first number. 288427. Oh, we got one. Our next number would be 288385. Two 88385. No, it's not me. No, we'll call on the next one. Two 287 427. I feel like a bingo caller. 288404. Yay! Ooh, this one is the gift certificate, $100 from, and of course, we have to, if you're an Albertan, sorry, if you're a Saskatchewanite, this is great prize. Okay, this is for the Rider Store, $100. Woo. 288403. 288403. Gone. Two 88421. Yay! Is that a Saskatchewanite? Hey! Got it.
All right, we have just a few moments left, about 10 minutes or so, and we want to take this opportunity to hear from our leader for next year. So at the business meeting on Saturday, the district elected our incoming team for 2019-2020. Sure. See, she's getting used to this. Jocelyn Hasty has all the passion of a newly converted. From the moment she walked into a demo meeting at High River Library, followed by MVP Advance 3 days later, she knew she'd found a great alternative to self-help books. Toastmasters has helped her move these concepts into action. She is thrilled to be your incoming District 42 Director. Please help me welcome Distinguished Toastmaster Jocelyn Hasty.
So seeing as how I just got my DTM medallion yesterday, that means don't time me and we'll probably not miss the bus. I wanted to talk about some of the things that we've experienced together this weekend. The first is a 100-mile walk and what it takes to do a 100-mile walk. It takes preparation and it takes a network. And I thank Nikki for giving us those lessons this weekend. How many of us in this room have an incredible network of brothers who lift us up when we need it? I know I look around and I see so many brothers and sisters that I am so grateful are joining me on this journey. Daddy was right. And in this room,
are many daddies and mommies who are right, and again, who are here to support one another. Do you see a common theme? Grief or relief. I am hoping that when I walk away, you guys will feel a little grief instead of relief at the end of the year. That something is everything. I encourage all of you to trust your gut and to follow it. It's seldom wrong. And it is your choice whether you're kind or cruel. As we go through the various evaluations, I would encourage you to practice radical candor with one another, to always do it with love, and truly do it in a spirit of helping one another, but do it. That's one of the things we're here to learn. This has been an amazing journey for me the last few years, and I am so excited about the year ahead. I am thrilled with the other people that are going to be surrounding me, and if they weren't going to be there, I never would have thrown my hat in the ring. It is going to be amazing, and I am absolutely convinced that all of you will be in Lethbridge next year, and you will all bring all your friends. As I close, this has been an amazing weekend of hellos and goodbyes. And truly, these are not goodbyes, but only see you laters. Thank you all, and I can't wait to work with all of you this coming year.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Jocelyn. All right. Well, the conference has come to an end. I hope you have had an amazing experience. And I want you to think about, all the people that you met this weekend, all the things that you learned, all the tips, the tricks, whether it's on the competition side or on the leadership side. And take some time, maybe on the 8-hour bus ride home, and reflect on what are you going to do differently after this conference? What are you going to take away? Who are you going to stay in contact with of the people you met here? I'm super excited for all the work that you guys have done so far this year in District 42. We have 2 months left till the end of June. I know each of you can live up to the goals that you set at the beginning of the year, and I just want to encourage each one of you to achieve your goals, thus also making our clubs distinguished. So with that, I will close the last thing I forgot. I do want to say a special shout out to the district executive team, to Christina and Dunstan and Terry and Kevin and Nikki for all the work that they've done over this weekend. It's been a crazy weekend, but we've had a lot of fun, and we appreciate everybody coming. So with that, I will close off the 2019 District 42 conference, and we will see you in Lethbridge, May 1, 2, 3, 2020. Safe travels.